So welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming as we honor Gustavo Torres and Casa this wonderful evening. If you've not already done so, please help yourselves throughout to refreshments courtesy of the Beltway Plaza Merchants Association. And by the way, if I'm not coming through all the way to the back row, please wave your hand.
You're good.
Doing all right? Okay. So to begin the program with an appropriate message, David Harrington will deliver the benediction.
Good evening, everyone. Just delighted to be here, and let me, if I can, Cap, take just a slight personal privilege to say how honored I am to be part of this ceremony recognizing Gustavo Torres' work and Casa's work. My family and I have been long supporters of Gustavo. I remember Gustavo when he was just called Brother G. And now he's a nationally known person, and certainly well-deserved in this honor. So delighted to be here. Some of you might not know, of course you knew I was a mayor, I was on the county council, and I was a senator. Got my picture up there chases people away. But I also am an ordained minister, and that's how Cap got to see me when we did the services for a wonderful community member. So first I'm going to read a scripture, and it's from Galatians 5, and we're going to read verse 5 and 6, and then go to 13 and 14. Galatians 5, verses 6, then 13 and 14. Therefore in Jesus Christ neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith which worketh by love. For brethren, we have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. And that's what Gustavo and his work has done. But by love serve one another. And for all the law is fulfilled in one word, even this, that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So just look to, whatever your faith, whatever your orientation, please bow your head in a moment of prayer. And Lord, I pray in my Father, in my faith, just blessing this moment and blessing this occasion in a way, Father God, that brings us together. We are one community. We are all immigrants. And in being all immigrants, Father, bring us together as a community. Despite our languages and where we live and community, we are all one. And so, Father, we celebrate this occasion not only for Gustavo Torres, and I ask a blessing on his family, but we celebrate this in a way, Father God, that this is a wonderful example of what community can be and what community should be. I pray this prayer in my faith, recognizing the faith of others that are in the room. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Before we begin the formal program, I need to issue a warning. I am severely OC, that is obsessive compulsive, a disability I embrace, and you will come to share with me. So please bear with me. So I'd just like to recognize elected officials and their representatives and other public servants. We're pleased to have with us tonight Mayor Emmett Jordan. Please wave. Thank you. City of Greenbelt. Mayor Pro Tem Jay Davis of the City of Greenbelt. From the Prince George's County Office of the County Executive for Sherman Baker, Benny Hager Francis. I need to say she's the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Health, Human Services, and Education. Okay. Members of the Prince George's County Council, Danny Tavares. And Todd Turner. From the General Assembly, Delegate Barbara Frush. And we're pleased to have Nestor Jimenez of Senator Victor Ramirez's office. Eric Olson was here earlier, but I'm afraid he had to leave. He's the Executive Director of the College Park University of Maryland Partnership. And we're also very pleased to have Karen Hendricks with us from the office of Senator Chris Van Hollen. As you can see previously, we've honored heroes from all walks of life. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Delegate Carlos Sanchez. So we've honored heroes from all walks of life. Senator Victor Ramirez, Delegate Darrell Barnes, retired Greenbelt Chief of Police Jim Craze, the Students Against Disruptive Decisions at Eleanor Roosevelt High School, Minister David Harrington. He gave you his quick resume there. Great. Other founders of the Harlan Remembrance Foundation, educators, public safety professionals, Greenbelt minister, and local athletes. As author Maya Angelou wrote, it is important for us to recognize and celebrate our sheroes as well as our heroes. Please note that we have several sheroes on the wall, including Greenbelt Mayor Pro Tem Jane Davis. So why was this wall created? Well, the answer is this one. Noted New York Times columnist David Brooks, in his book, The Road to Character, he sought to prove the maximum that example is the best teacher. That would be maxim, actually, maximum maxim. Especially in the present culture of exaggerated self-promotion, Brooks wrote, we can immerse ourselves in the lives of outstanding people to try to understand the wisdom of the way they live and the way they live their lives. That's what we've been doing at Beltway Plaza since the inception of the Wall of Fame honoring local heroes, highlighting the great examples outstanding local heroes present for the rest of us. Folks who not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. To reinforce this concept, let's consider the perspective of Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Sonia Sotomayor. When she was interviewed by the New York Times in 2013, following the publication of a very personal, professional memoir entitled My Beloved World. Justice Sotomayor, the first Latina Supreme Court Justice and only the fourth woman appointed to that court, she published her story in the hopes it would inspire others. Here's what she said. It is my great hope that I'll be a great justice, that I'll write opinions that will last the ages, but it's only one measure of meaning in life. To me, the more important one is my values, my impact on people who feel inspired in any way by me. Serving as a role model, she said, is the most valuable thing I can do. These sheroes and heroes are enduring role models, lead, inspire, and provide hope for others. We have chosen Gustavo Torres to honor here today because above all else, he's an outstanding role model, an inspiration to others, and a concrete example that it can be done. It was President Nelson Mandela, a cherished freedom fighter who eradicated institutional apartheid in South Africa and established a multiracial republic there, who wrote, as long as poverty and injustice and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. We need only study the body of work of our current honoree, Gustavo Torres, a role model who does not rest, who for more than 3 decades fought for the disadvantaged, battling discrimination, poverty, disease, injustice, ignorance, and fear, with the goal of creating a more just society, improving the quality of life in our low-income immigrant communities, and achieving dignity, equality, and full human rights for all. So here's where the OC kicks in. Gustavo and Casa have received numerous well-deserved awards confirming Gustavo's tireless commitment, including the Montgomery Serves Award, the the Bank of America Greater Washington Neighborhood Builders Award, the Prince George's County Community Foundation's Bridge Builder Award, the Annie E. Casey Foundation Family Strengthening Award, and the Ford Foundation Leadership for a Changing World Award. No doubt you will learn more tonight about the programs and services offered by Casa in the areas of citizenship preparation, vocational training, financial literacy, legal services, and adult education, so you can appreciate the length and breadth and the reach of the Casa that Gustavo Torres and his trusted associates created. The following is a summary of the most significant milestones Casa achieved in the years 2015-16. The Maryland DREAM Act, President Obama's DACA Immigrant Relief Program, Montgomery County's paid sick leave law, Casa client workers earning nearly $3 million through jobs obtained at Casa centers, more than 1,000 immigrants improving their English language skills, 200 immigrant youth attending new international high schools in Prince George's County, Casa opening new offices in Virginia and Pennsylvania, Casa registering more than 6,400 people to vote in Virginia and Pennsylvania, and Casa in action defeating right-to-work anti-union questions in Virginia. La lucha sigue. The fight for justice continues. Now may I ask that the representatives of Casa stand now and be recognized for your service. Residents of Langley Park 2 will be forever indebted to Gustavo and Casa for their significant contribution to the success of the Transforming Neighborhoods initiative of the Baker administration represented here tonight by Betty Hager Francis. Without a doubt, Gustavo Torres has distinguished himself as a role model for all, as contemplated by Justice Sotomayor and fought tirelessly without rest to defeat poverty, injustice, and inequality, as imagined by President Mandela, especially in our low-income communities, migrant, immigrant communities. So with that, as the rationale for the selection of our honoree, in a moment, I'm going to turn the microphone over to our keynote speaker, Ben Gillis, whose accomplishments in multiple disciplines have brought immense positive impact on social change. Now I'm going to give Ben the very best introduction I can, because I think every speaker who comes here, takes their time, and makes the effort, deserves a decent introduction, so please bear with me. Ben Gillis is the former president of the NAACP, a visiting professor at Princeton University's Woodrow Wilson School, a partner at the Core Capital, a progressive venture capital firm, a civic leader, a community organizer, and a journalist. Scholastically, Ben excelled as a Rhodes Scholar and earned a master's degree from the University of Oxford. Ben's impact as president of the NAACP was far-reaching and revolutionary, and his impact on the NAACP endures to this day. Just this month, the vaunted Legal Defense Fund of the NAACP, again fighting voter suppression laws in the nation, was instrumental in causing a federal court to find that the Texas voter ID law was purposely enacted to discriminate against Latino and Black voters in the case of VZ v. Abbott. During his tenure, the NAACP mobilized millions of folks to progressive action, turned out more than 1 million voters for the 2012 presidential election, supported abolition of the death penalty in this state and in Connecticut, endorsed marriage equality, fought NYPD's stop and frisk policing and racial profiling. And Ben Gillis was the keynote speaker of the 2013 Rally for Citizenship and Immigration Reform at the U.S. Capitol. Ben has received numerous awards, too many to mention here, including Maryland of the Year by the the Baltimore Sun in 2013. As Robert Kennedy said so eloquently in his Ripple of Hope speech delivered in 1966 at the Day of Affirmation address at the University of Cape Town, he said, "Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy, daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down even the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." By having given him the barest minimum of a proper introduction, I am honored to introduce Ben Jones.
It's a humbling honor to be asked to come help celebrate such a great leader. Gustavo is a leader's leader. He's an organizer's organizer. He's a man that I call my brother and my friend. Our state is at a crossroads as our country is. These are times when we can either allow our president, or the president, let's put it that way, to sow division, to scare us of each other. Or we can decide that we will resist and we will come together and we will love each other and fight for each other and protect each other regardless of what he may be tweeting about. But doing that work is tough, and it's hard, and it requires you to at once be able to move people towards the future while just getting them to hold on to their best selves in the moment. And that's what Gustavo Torres does without even thinking about it. I remember the first time that I really knew I needed to call Gustavo. It was in the midst of the uprisings in Baltimore. And we needed to get everybody together who was prepared to lead in that moment in the city. And even though he's based down here in Prince George's, his reach into Baltimore is significant. And so we convened a group that continues to work together, the Coalition for Jobs, Safety, and Justice, and now it really has a whole mind of its own, but we couldn't have gotten started without Gustavo. But I knew Gustavo was the person to call because in 2011 it seemed like the entire country was losing its mind. We forget that this earthquake of bad leadership coming out of the White House right now that we're rehearsals for. It was called the rise of the Tea Party. And there was a moment when the states south of us and north of us were both suppressing the right to vote. And all of our groups here in Maryland, different constituencies, seem to be told to get in line behind each other. Folks said, look, it was time to pass marriage equality. Please get in line. Time to pass the DREAM Act. Time to abolish the death penalty. Time to expand voting rights while our neighbors are suppressing them. Time to pass sensible gun safety reform. And the old man at the state capitol, and yes, they tend to be old, they tend to be men. It wasn't Jason Lee, that's for sure. We're saying, please, not all of this, not all at once. Talk amongst yourselves, figure out what one of these we're going to do this year. And there were a lot of young people who were saying, I understand how that subtracts, but how does that add up to any of us women? I mean, really, if we don't make this the year to abolish the death penalty, we're going to demobilize this group. If we don't make this the year to pass the DREAM Act, we're going to demobilize that group. If we don't make this the year to pass marriage equality, we don't make this the year to expand voter rights, to pass sensible gun safety reform. The thing about young people is that they're just coming into their power. They haven't quite figured out how it works. And they need some elders in the room to actually say, that makes sense. And let me tell you how we can make that happen. And Gustavo Torres is one of those very few people in our state who actually understand how it all adds up. Who can actually sit there with elder statesmen and put them at ease, can whisper in the ear of stateswomen like Jocelyn and says, now's the time, let's go. But can also make young people really understand their power, feel heard, and yet walk out of the room feeling smart. And that's what I saw happen in 2011 and 2012 and 2013, so that when the uprisings came in 2015, I knew I had it. There were 3 calls I was going to make in the midst of those fires in Baltimore. One was to great Marylander who Donald Trump is convinced is still alive, but I assure you he's not. Frederick Douglass. I know Frederick Douglass IV. I'm actually talking about the Frederick Douglass. And the 4th is not a Republican. I'm sorry, Donald Trump. Frederick Douglass really gave identified the obligation, if you will, for black civil rights leadership in America to always be on the side of immigrants of color in times not dissimilar from these. It was the period right after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment had been passed. The 13th abolished slavery. The 14th guaranteed equal protection to everybody regardless of color, but it also established the native birth provision. You're born here, you're a citizen. Something that Donald Trump wants to do away with. 15th guaranteed everybody the right to vote. And in that time, the black vote south of the Mason-Dixon was getting rapidly stronger, as it is in many states right now south of the Mason-Dixon. And immigrants of color, in that case, not Latinos, back then it was Chinese, coming into the country to build the railroads, were also growing in number very rapidly. And right after the 14th Amendment passed, they passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. Not dissimilar to those, what I would say are essentially Latino exclusion acts that have been passed from Alabama to Arizona, HB 56, SB 2, etc. Frederick Douglass comes out in the speech, Our Composite Nationality, and he says a few important, it's really worth reading. It is his tirade against the Chinese Exclusion Act. He says in there, look, and I'll paraphrase this, if you haven't read a 19th century orator recently, everybody will understand better to paraphrase. He says, look, we didn't come through one great war to end slavery in the Southeast just to watch you enslave somebody else in the Southeast. And then he goes on to say that every country has a unique destiny, and that nation's destiny is defined by its character, and that character is that nation at its best, not its worst. Charitable words for a man who had been held and tortured as a slave now 50 miles from here, as the quote finds. But a nation's character is ultimately shaped by its geography, and that ours is unique. He goes on to explain our nation is bordered by friendly nations north and south of different races, and by oceans east and west that connect us to every people on the planet. And therefore, our destiny, shaped by our character, defined by us at our best, defined as us at our best, and grounded ultimately in our unique geography, is to be, and this part's an exact quote, the most perfect example of the unity and dignity of the human family that the world has ever seen. And I have faith that what we're going through right now, when the president is breaking his promise and deporting dreamers, when our friends in the state capitol don't have the courage to explain to their constituents that if we don't pass the Trust Act, The president's federal officials will literally make people afraid to deal with the police, and that can only make all of us less safe. We will ultimately look back on these times as the growing pains of a nation coming into its own and achieving that vision that Frederick Douglass put out there of us being the most perfect example of the unity and dignity of the human family that the world has ever seen. And it will get there, I believe, even faster than many realize because of many of the people in this room. But it will get there even faster. We will get there even faster than we think it may feel possible right now. Because ultimately, there's a very small number of people in every state in this country who dedicate themselves day in, day out to nothing other than lifting the country from the bottom up and knitting us together as brothers and sisters. And that's what makes Gustavo Torres so great and his leadership so important. But to be a great leader, you've got to have a couple of qualities I think are really important. One is, you see this with Gustavo if you've ever been with him in a real fight, that when everybody else's crazy factor goes up, when everybody else gets more nervous, you have to get more calm. You have to keep the level head. You have to get more focused when everybody else is losing their minds all around you. And that's in one. If I could make 3 calls at night, in April of 2015, one was going to be to Gustavo. The other, you've got to have a little bit of swagger to get through all the body blows that are going to be landed on you as you push the nation forward and you lead your people forward, you lead all our people forward. And Nelson Mandela said it best, and I believe Gustavo embodies this spirit. Nelson Mandela said, "I never lose. I either win or I learn." That's Gustavo Torres in a nutshell. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Vic, for that reminder that the fight for justice must continue. We must keep our faith, and we know who our leaders are. And now, from closer to home, from the neighborhood, so to speak, it will be our great privilege to hear from Delegate Joseline Peña-Melnick, a member of the Board of Casa, to speak to Gustavo's commitment to the mission of Casa to provide compelling support for our nomination of Gustavo Torres as our local hero. I will take a few minutes to review Joseline's considerable record of accomplishment, as well as some of the highlights of her remarkable career, including more than 10 years in the Maryland House of Delegates, representing her constituents in Prince George's and Anne Arundel counties. It's fair to say that through her service on many House committees and subcommittees and her sponsorship of legislation, Joseline has always been faithful to addressing the health challenges facing Marylanders and consistently been in the forefront of leadership to improve healthcare services to her constituents. Relevant bills she has sponsored in previous sessions include the Maryland Health Improvement and Disparities Reduction Act, the Committee on Childhood Obesity Act, and the Fitness and Equity for Students with Disabilities Act. Prior to her illustrious legislative career, Joseline earned a BS in Criminal Justice from Buffalo State College and a law degree from the State University of New York at Buffalo. Utilizing her law degree, Delegate Peña-Melnick served as an assistant United States attorney prosecuting criminal cases. Using her experience and expertise in criminal matters, Joseline served in a work group on public safety and policing practices, sponsored repeal of the death penalty, supported ban-the-box legislation and state employment forms, fought to end racially based traffic stops, and promoted legislation for an independent state prosecutor to investigate deaths related to law enforcement. Joseline has proven herself time and again as a strong and able advocate for those on the margins of our society, for working families and for social justice for all. And her activities during this just concluded legislative session are indicative of her commitment. Let me just quickly mention several bills Jocelyn sponsored demonstrating her caring commitment to the common welfare. Legislation to protect siblings in foster care, to enhance experiential training for pharmacy students, to enable timely and efficient treatment for opioid disorders, to better connect telecommunications to intervention treatments, to establish recovery support for college students suffering from addiction, and provide grants for heightened security for at-risk schools and child care centers, potential targets of hate crimes. I'm so proud that Delegate Jocelyn Peña-Melnick could be with us today. Let's give her a warm welcome, shall we?
Thank you so much. That's really very generous, and thank you for doing this. It's really beautiful. You spoke beautifully about Gustavo. Very well said. Gustavo and I go back very long time. I'm not going to even say it because it'll date us, right? But let's just say that Casa was in a basement of a church, and Casa started in 1985. We became actually very active in probably 1993, 94 was when I got involved with Casa, and I was on the board of Casa de Maryland. I remember negotiating the contract for the mansion for $1, and that was Gustavo's vision. I have to tell you, how many of you have actually thought of doing something, right? A wonderful idea, a beautiful business, starting a nonprofit, but then you don't follow up. And you say, I wish I could have done it. Or you hear of someone who has done it, and you say, why couldn't I do that? I thought of that. And you don't do it. What makes us different? What makes some of us do and some of us not do? Well, Gustavo is one of 15 children, the second youngest, right? Very, very poor background. His mom, his dad worked very hard to support their family in Colombia. And during those times, in the 70s and the 80s, there were a lot of conflicts. And Gustavo, as we know him to be, got very involved in the community to the point where he put himself in harm's way. He actually lost a brother that was killed because of that. And there was a time where he had to flee the country, correct? And leave it all behind because he was threatened. They were going to kill him. When he came to this country, imagine coming here as an immigrant, not knowing the language, not knowing where to go. Where do you get an ID? Where do you find work? Where do you get training? Where do you go buy clothing? Where do you go to the doctor? That is what all of us that come here as immigrants, what we experience. And we come here to get a better life for ourselves and for our families. But he had that idea as he came to this country to educate himself, to learn English, to become active in the community. But it wasn't just good enough for him to do it for himself. He had a vision, Casa de Maryland, a place where an immigrant can come. And imagine that, a place where you can be hired, a place where you can get vocational training, a place where you can get financial literacy, citizenship service if you want to become a U.S. citizen after having your green card for a number of years, a place where you can go and meet with a lawyer, get adult education, community organizing, how to become empowered and fight back and be involved in your community. That was his vision. So this little place in a church grew to this over $13 million mansion that he got for $1 and got the money to build it. A place where it's in the central part of the community, where the community comes and it's part of the community. That was his vision. That was his accomplishment. You were doing this today. Usually, we only do this when people died. And we take flowers to the grave. And we speak beautifully at their eulogy. But we don't do it when people are alive. And that is important. And you, my friend, there is a Buddhist saying that says that you live, that you actually do not die when you're cremated or when you're buried. You do not die. You die when the last deed you have performed on earth is forgotten. Think about that. Your deeds, every single person that walks through those doors, every single person you empower to come to Annapolis, and I know how persistent you are, okay, because we get the call. I got a call from you at 2 in the morning. You remember that for the historic grant, okay? Every single time you empower people to come, you empower them to speak, to be active. You know, the schools that we worked on together, the international schools, okay, that help kids adjust in the community. That is you. And you make me proud to know you, because you truly are a beautiful, charismatic, giving, generous man. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to introduce you to this wonderful crowd. Each and every one of you could have been somewhere else today, and you chose to come and honor him. And I thank you for that, because he truly deserves it. I introduce to you Gustavo Torres, who's so deserving. Thank you, Gustavo.
So, I need to follow Ben and my friend. I don't know if I can. I will try. Thank you very much. Thank you both of you for your kind words. I really, really appreciate that. So, on behalf of more than 85,000 members of Casa, I humbly accept this honor, because it's not about me, as you know. It's about our community. It's about what we're doing together. Absolutely. And what have been described about Casa is not just me. It's the raining, right?
What they say, that's a blessing.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Everything that has been described is because we have an extraordinary team in Casa. And not only in Casa, we have you. You have been so generous. You have been a strong supporter of our organization. I have been working with many of you to accomplish what Jocelyn described. Without you, it was so impossible to accomplish what we have been accomplished in the last few years. But you know what? It's a lot of more work that needs to be done. And all of you know that. It's a lot of more work. And that is the reason why it's so important that we keep working together. It's so important that we send a very strong message to the President and to this administration that we are so diverse, that we are so beautiful, that we are going to keep fighting for civil rights and for human rights, and we are not going to stop here. Don't we are going to stop? No, we are not. We have the responsibility to keep fighting for justice. And that is exactly what we are going to do in the next few weeks, few months, and the next few years. Before I continue, let me say a few words in Spanish, because there's some members of my community right over here that they feel more comfortable when they listen some words in Spanish. So allow me to say a few words in Spanish. Quiero decirle a nuestra comunidad que está aquí en este momento, que le quiero dar las gracias a todos y cada una de ustedes por su extraordinario compromiso y de lucha permanente para nuestra comunidad, por la dignidad de nuestra comunidad. Quiero darle las gracias por ser miembros de Casa y por continuar esta lucha, que es una lucha larga, pero estamos seguros que vamos a triunfar. What I'm saying is that I just want to say thank you to my community, to this community, to our members who are right here, who have been fighting and are going to keep fighting for justice. And we know that it's going to be a long struggle, but we are not going to stop. We are going to keep working. I want to mention 2 or 3 things very quickly that is going to happen in the next few weeks and in the next few months, because I know that you are going to join us, and it's so very important that you join us. We, as Ben mentioned, we are going to keep resisting. We don't have a choice. We have to do it, period. You know, when I speak with our members and my community, what they told me is that we are very scared. We are very, very scared. But we are not paralyzed. That is what they told me. We are not paralyzed. We are going to keep fighting. And it's exactly what we are going to do. May 1st is our big action. Actually, it's this weekend, that weekend. As you know, it's going to be the environmental mobilization, the science mobilization, and of course it's the immigrant mobilization, our mobilization. And we are going to be the 3 of them, by the way. But the big one is going to be May 1st, and very important, to send a very important message to this administration. We are planning to march from DuPont Circle to the White House. So you are going to see thousands of people from Greenbelt, Langley Park, all Queen George, Montgomery County, Baltimore, Northern Virginia, all of us marching to the White House to send a very strong message that we are not going to accept hate in our communities. It's so very, very important. But in addition to that, many businesses are closing in solidarity to our communities. Facebook announced yesterday that they are going to close businesses. Soon is going to be more businesses. You are going to hear from me in the next few days. We have very many small businesses also join us, because it's an issue that is not about Latinos or immigrants. As Ben mentioned, it's about all of us. So it's very important that we are together in this very, very important moment. The second piece that I want to mention is about how important is keep educating our community. So we have a huge campaign called Know Your Rights. And we create different committees all around Maryland and Virginia and Pennsylvania to make sure that our community understand what is their rights and how they are going to fight back when immigration comes to your home or to your workplace, what exactly they need to do. So we have a huge campaign educating thousands and thousands and thousands of Latinos and immigrants to make sure that they know what is their rights and responsibilities. And number 3, I'm sorry, and I want to finish right over there because I know that it's kind of a little late. And it's something that is not right here in Maryland, but it's going to impact tremendously all of us, our communities. I'm speaking about the elections in Virginia. It's the only state who is going to have governorship elections in Virginia. And we always say, and I'm speaking about Casa in action here, if we don't win in Virginia the governorship, is that we are going to have Alabama next to us. That's simple. You know how many anti-immigrant legislation have been passed in Richmond in this year? More than 100 anti-immigrant legislation. And it was because we have an extraordinary governor who the legislation didn't pass. He vetoed all of them. So do you imagine how important it is to make sure that we have a progressive governor in Virginia? So we are going to invest a lot of money and a lot of resources and talent and volunteers, and many of you are going to join me, because it's so very important to make sure not only that we win Virginia, but that we send an extraordinary message to the president, that the hate message and actions from him is stopping in Virginia. And I think that is very important that we send that message. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I really appreciate Thank you very much.
So now you see. Thank you for that call to action. I live in Virginia. I've lived in Virginia for 33 years. I have only... As an interesting aside, maybe only to me, I only met Governor Terry McAuliffe, the current governor of Virginia, one time. I was vacationing in Seattle. I was down at the market, the famous market in Seattle, the fish market where they throw the fish around and all that. And went into an Italian restaurant with some friends. And Terry McAuliffe was holding a fundraiser in the bar. It was the only time I've ever met my governor. So at the head of this program, as well as through the eyes of Delegate Peña-Dominic and Ben Jealous, we describe the attributes of character and commitment which led us to this moment. And we heard from Gustavo, we heard our call to action. We know his shining example for us all to emulate as we join the battle, especially in the fearful immigrant communities. The career of Gustavo Torres aptly reflects the description postured by Robert Kennedy of Cape Town, a portrait of a man who's standing for his ideals despite the dangers, begins that ripple of hope that demonstrates to the newcomers in our community, we're there for you, you're not alone, we have your backs. And now it is my privilege to introduce Karen M. Hendricks, the Constituent Services and Community Outreach Representative of the Montgomery County Office of Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Thank you. Gustavo, you thought you had it bad after these two? You're not helping me, my brother. Buenas noches. Mr. Torres, on behalf of Senator Chris Van Hollen, I'm delighted to be here to join with this distinguished group of elected officials, community leaders, members of Casa, and all the rest of us in between. The recognition of your induction into the Beltway Plaza Mall Wall of Fame. On a personal note, this is the only wall we should be building. I want to see more space, more building of this kind of wall. The senator wishes that he could be here, but unfortunately he has another commitment. However, he is so happy that you are being recognized in this manner for your extraordinary work across not only the state of Maryland, but beyond our borders as well. Your journey with the senator began, as I understand, when he was just a pup, as were you, in the state legislature, and it has flourished throughout these many years. As we've heard, you not only embody the mission and vision of Casa, but also you exemplify the values and embrace this in your leadership. Those values of excellence, strength in our collaborative activities, finding our voices, respect, and our enrichment with the acceptance of our diversity. This is a lesson, and a very important lesson, particularly now, that we should both emulate and replicate. Therefore, this is the citation part. On this 20th day of April 2017, on behalf of the Senator, I present this citation to you in recognition of your exceptional and visionary leadership, with appreciation for your dedicated efforts on behalf of the Latino and immigrant communities in Maryland and beyond, and with gratitude for all that you do to make a difference in the lives of others. Señor Torres, tu camino de la vida ha sido extraordinario.
Thank you very much, Karen. Please convey our best to the center. So before we conclude the program, I'm going to ask Dolores Calderon to recite a portion of a poem by Gabriela Mistral entitled Tres Árboles from the Paisajes de la Patagonia trilogy. You can see I fumbled my way through that. Dolores, please.
La noche vendrá, estaré con ellos, recibiré en mi corazón sus mansas resinas y serán como el fuego. Y mudos y ceñidos nos hallará el día en un montón de duelo. I say it in English as well, so. The woodman forgot them, the night will come. I will be with them. In my heart I will receive the gentle sap. They will be like fire to me. And may the day find us quietly embraced in a heap of sorrow.
Thank you, Dolores. Thank you very much. The deep and compassionate feelings of Gabriela Mistral, her devotion to the weak in our society, amply conveyed by the passage, also is reflective of the instructions of Apostle Paul in Galatians as well. Beloved, serve one another. With that, we're so pleased that you joined us here this evening to help us to honor Gustavo Torres. In a moment, we're going to remove the shroud from the photograph and be able to read the biography. Paraphrasing Robert Kennedy, we're recognizing Gustavo for his energy, for his faith and devotion that he brings to his work, to shine a light on the justice we know we need, to guarantee for everyone. So in the recognition of the work of Casa, the owner of Beltway Plaza, and the Beltway Plaza Merchants Association are each making contributions to Casa to further honor Gustavo in recognition of his community efforts and to continue the efforts of Casa in our immigrant communities and in Virginia. So we would urge you to contribute to the cause as well. Now with that, if we could all stand, and if we could unveil Gustavo's portrait and biography on the Wall of Fame, and those for photographs, and please continue to refresh yourselves with the refreshments throughout. Please, yes.
If I can do a pen, I will help. Everything's going fine. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining
you.